live. The Jimmy Doane Show is back.
Hey.
Just about on time, 4 o'clock.
Pretty close.
Tuesday,
Your clock is just fast.
20th. Yeah, right, exactly. Haven't gone to daylight saving time. Today is the 20th of September, 2016. And here, Jimmy Doane's here with Counselor Curtis, who is going to see if we have any legal stumbling blocks.
I got something.
Do you? Okay,
yeah.
Good. So any legal stumbling blocks, we're going to hear the news.
We're going to hear something about it, and I mean, you've already heard it, I'm sure. But
which one is this?
Well, it's the latest shooting.
Oh,
the latest murder.
Yeah, I mean that went that.
I got it. Where'd my book go?
That went totally viral. You want to start off with that?
I thought so. Yeah, I had my book was here. Did I take it home with me? Took it over there, maybe. Yeah, we might as well.
Might as well.
Okay.
I mean, it's gone. I mean, let me put it this way. Anybody watching this video probably already knows about it.
Absolutely.
Because it was like a 2 or 3 minute video.
Right. From the police helicopter. Because they didn't turn on their dash cams.
Right.
And they don't have body cams yet. 2 solutions which I propose in my book, which is called Black and Blue Lives.
Right.
You can get it on Amazon. Like I said, I must have taken it back over
here.
the
Hold on a second, everybody.
The other side. But I'll tell you, I will tell you this: if you're a black guy and you see the cops, haul ass. That's what I would do. Seriously, this guy broke down in his car, and they sent the cops out there instead of a tow truck and an Uber.
Right.
And he's dead now. He's dead.
Very quickly, too.
Whatever it was,
less than fewer than 5 minutes.
Right. And, I mean, it wasn't a crime scene before the cops got there.
Right.
And now it is. And I'm not...
Well, let's just say what happened. Here's a guy, apparently his car stalled out in the middle of the road or something. He couldn't push it. So he I don't know if he called 911 or if he called whatever happened. All I know is that a cop car showed up and then asked for backup. So there were like 4 cops there.
Right.
And they started issuing these commands to him. So he gets out, has his hands in the air, and this is all caught on the cam from the police helicopter.
Right.
And he's walking around with his hands up in the air. Then the police helicopter circles around at just the wrong time.
Yeah, I know.
Just the wrong time because this fellow is hidden a little bit behind his car.
Right.
And as the police helicopter comes around to the front of the car, you can see suddenly he's dead.
Right.
And he got tased and shot.
Right.
1 shot, dead.
Right. And, benefit of the doubt to the police right now, because we don't know what this guy did to alarm them. And he obviously alarmed more than one of them, if one of them tased him and one of them shot him. But my point is, and when I make this point over and over in this book is that this confrontation never needed to take place.
Right.
This guy apparently wasn't on his way to go commit any crimes or anything like that.
Home.
Well, like I said, it wasn't a high-speed chase or anything. He wasn't wanted for anything. There was no crime involved until after the police arrived. Something that the police said must have alarmed the guy, or something that he said must have alarmed the police, or vice versa. Whatever happened, but the whole thing never needed to take place. And if I were, like I said, if I were a black guy these days and my cop broke down on the side of the road, I would just haul ass. I would just run. I would just leave the scene. I would not. You don't want to be around when the cops are around because you could wind up dead like this guy.
It's amazing.
And, we just don't need that kind of enforcement for car stalls.
Well, did you see there was a video his twin sister came out?
I didn't see the video of her. I saw what she said.
Yeah, what she said.
I mean,
family man, kids, everything.
Sings at church.
He was coming home from the school where he was coming home from the junior college. What we call now the community college.
Okay.
Headed home, in the community college, and something happened. His car stalled out or something like that.
Right.
And so she goes down the list of what makes this guy, like you say, singing in the choir, blah, blah, blah. And I think they found out that he had like 2 speeding tickets 20 years ago or something when they did the little search. So obviously a dangerous person. And of course it did look like, this is the other thing, there's no audio because the police dash cams were off.
Right.
But there's no audio. But yes, it does. If you just kind of pause frame by frame, it does look as though he's reaching into the car for a second with his left hand.
Well, like I said, something.
But he might have been ordered to.
Right.
That's the thing. What we don't know, and of course, unfortunately, we are only going to have the cops as witnesses.
Yeah.
But what's happened is apparently the girl. I mean, she's obviously a young person, scared to death or something, because she. I mean, you saw her picture. She looked like she's 24, 25 years old or something. That fired the shot. And so she's been on paid administrative leave.
Right.
Paid vacation there while they figured out, and
which she should be, because it's still innocent until proven guilty, even if you're the cop. It just looks horrible, and from all accounts, like we just talked about, the guy was not in the process of committing any crime before the police showed up.
He walked all over the place with
his hands up
in the
air.
Know.
If that doesn't put you at ease, I don't know what would. Bad criminals don't necessarily do that. I mean, that's not the kind of...
No.
It just, the whole thing sucks. The whole thing is ugly, and we'll see what eventually happens, but of course it's too late for him.
Right.
And so please get a copy of this book, read it, figure out what you can do to stay out of those situations, to stay out of harm's way, and then do that.
Yeah.
And if you're a law enforcement or in the government, please put in a petition somewhere so that cops are not called out to traffic stops anymore.
Yeah.
For anything, for any reason, a traffic stop should be interdicted by a traffic person,
right?
Or, like I said, a tow truck driver or somebody else, not an armed policeman. We don't need that kind of conflict in our society.
Well, there was 4 of them there, and this is you're wondering what is going on, and you can see the suits coming down. Of course, it's going to be. This one's going to be. What's going to be interesting, of course, it also said that her initial written report that she gave was wrong, because then they saw the video.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So she's already.
Well, that doesn't surprise me a bit.
Yeah.
I've read thousands of police reports, and the difference between what's written down and what actually happened is always significant. Well, I shouldn't say always, but oftentimes it's significant. Oftentimes there's details left out, and especially in situations where the police could get in trouble. And
well, I was just to dovetail on that, I was just watching apparently a brand new video that showed up on Facebook or whatever the other day today, and it was this guy who was out filming a DUI stop. And he was, on public property, whatever it is, how they used to do it down here, and I filmed them. They didn't care. But no, they didn't.
Well, I talk about that in the book here. There are no established protocols right now.
Well, I'm white.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there's your established protocol.
Yeah, right. I walked down there, so
Yeah. So did they beat this guy with a stick for filming?
No. What they did is, this is great. They grabbed his phone, said, "You're not allowed to do that." He says, "I am too. Blah blah blah. Here's my rights and everything."
Right.
So what happened was the cop that grabbed the phone failed to turn it off.
Oh no!
And they put the phone on top of the cop car while they discussed. They asked some guy says, "What's wrong here?" And one of the cops says, "That's okay." And they said, "Well, how are we going to cover this up?" And so they went through various discussions on what are we going to call, what are we going to charge him with.
Yeah.
How about this? How about obstruction of traffic? Well, no, maybe we can do. They went through this thing for like 2 or 3 minutes, and then they gave him his phone back. Holy smokes!
Yeah. Okay. See, perfect example of why. Another suggestion in the book. Please, establish protocols so that police have to wear cameras at all times, that must be on at all times while they're on duty, not undercover. Please, a dash cam should be on at all times, recording audio and video.
Yes,
and they need to establish a protocol for how other people can interact with the police. I've been in situations before where the police just get scared, they're doing something, and they just start swinging sticks. I've literally seen that happen, where the crowd is just a little too close to the cop car that's making an arrest for whatever reason. It was a fight in this particular situation that I was witnessing, and they swung at me. They swung a stick at me, and I would have gotten hit had I not literally tripped over a rock in the road. There was a small median with some some decorative rocks in the road. I tripped over that, fell backwards, and had I not fallen like that, I would have gotten totally whacked with the stick, and with several other people. We just literally walked into the situation unknowingly because there was a crowd, and we just literally inadvertently made our way up to the front of the crowd. We were just heading in this direction. The crowd parted as the officer was swinging the stick, and there I was all of a sudden in range of the stick swing. Now, of course, I'm the white guy. You would think, okay, there'd be some white privilege or something, but there's not. In those situations, you're going to get hit no matter who you are, no matter what you look like. Well,
it's what they call the mob mentality. I mean, you get a bunch of cops and they get started on this stuff. With regular mobs, they do kind of crazy things. But I mean, what's this guy's name? Was Moses? He was going to part the sea or what? I mean,
I don't know. Like I said, it was a crazy situation, and they got it all on video as well from somebody's video camera back in the day.
Okay.
This was in the 90s.
Okay.
But still, it just goes to show you. There's another story in the paper today about a kid who got shot carrying a saxophone. They thought it was an automatic weapon or something and blasted him. And I haven't read more about that one. But again, if you're carrying a shiny object, the book tells you, drop whatever you're carrying, whatever's in your hand. It doesn't matter if you're already dead. So avoid that stuff.
Boy, it's tragic that it's come to that. Because as I say, when I was a kid, we did actually have a quote officer friendly or whatever.
Right.
And you might they might give you a little bit of a something. Anyway, it's changed totally, and there's a lot of reasons for it. We're going to talk about this more.
Yeah.
So let me move on.
Yeah. Well, amazing.
We're going to have to fix this somehow. Maybe we can hire the engineer to come over here and set it up one time.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. It's when I go to touch the volume button, it does strange things.
I'm going to switch this over to a Mac as soon as I get the software.
Yeah, well, we should. Then we could go straight to Facebook, and we could do other stuff as well.
And they have a brand new operating system that came out today that they said is unbelievable.
Really?
Yeah, for the phone and the Mac. Mm-hmm. So I love Macs, always have.
Yeah.
So anyway, the feds announced unprecedented. We're back. Okay, let me back up a second. Excuse me. Anyway, it seems as though every day there's a new announcement about the autonomous autonomous cars.
Yeah.
In past podcasts, if you want to go back, or vidcasts, if you want to go back, we have claimed that it will be illegal for citizens and probably most everybody else to drive on the roads within a fairly short time. Mm-hmm. 5-10 years tops.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because there's an article here that talks about Lyft and these people who I guess they're listening to our podcast because they're saying exactly what we've been saying. Mm-hmm. So anyway, let me just finish go through. I got a couple of things here that are kind of interesting.
Okay.
The feds announced unprecedented autonomous car guidelines. Now, you got to know that the feds somehow have to get involved in this.
Yeah.
I mean, it just, you can't leave it alone. You can't leave us out of the equation. And of course, the problem is the feds are the only ones that can carry guns. I mean, any guidelines that they do are going to be enforced out of a barrel.
Right.
And whereas in the free market,
Yeah, it's a good thing the feds are involved because Tesla and those guys have no vested interest in making their autonomous vehicles safe.
Right. Yeah, exactly. That's the same thing with TSA.
There's billions of dollars on the line here, and yet they're gonna make it safe because there's a rule written down somewhere.
Oh, let's go. Let's continue on, young Padawan. What we're saying is, let's see, federal officials will take the unprecedented step of asserting oversight over the software that operates self-driving vehicles when they publish a set of autonomous vehicle guidelines, says the White House. Mm-hmm. And I'm sitting there thinking, wait a minute, how do they know? I mean, that software is all proprietary and encrypted.
Not anymore.
Not anymore, yeah, right. So anyway, it's the federal government's first attempt to regulate an emerging technology which is already on the road in some parts of the country. officials hailed the potential of the technology to save lives by reducing crashes. We've talked about this.
Yeah.
We've said 90% probably decrease in crashes and lives lost. We have no problem with that. What we're saying is, the feds are saying, is that when the software is operating the vehicle, that is an area that we intend to regulate. Transportation Secretary Anthony Fox said in a call with reporters on Monday, in which he outlined the regulations details to be announced later. And so regulators say they will use the existing authority to investigate and recall automated vehicles that pose a risk to public safety, and will look to Congress to make all the laws. And of course, Congress is a committee of 535 that, there's probably nobody in there that understands what the hell's going on.
They don't make laws anymore anyway. What they do is they make administrations.
The National Transportation Authority, they do the laws.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
And then you don't have to vote on them or anything.
Right.
You just write them down.
It's just, that stuff comes out of the Federal Register, which is thousands of pages every day of new and proposed regulations. And sometimes they give you 30 days to comment, and buried in the 1,000 pages that were released today, for instance, if you go, you have to have your attorneys go through it and see if there's one that applies to you, and then you get 30 days or whatever it is to make a comment. And of course you hire,
which has a lot of weight.
You don't have a gun. Even the lobbyists don't carry guns.
Right.
So that the guys what they do is carry money, and that's the thing. So they just basically bribe the guys to keep them in power. So anyway, the federal guidelines here, they have a nice name, but unfortunately it's not a name that you can pronounce. The federal guidelines, known as the Vehicle Performance Guidance for Automated Vehicles. Okay, this is has come as Michigan and other states attempt to amend regulations to allow automakers and tech companies such as Google to test their stuff on their roads. And so anyway, the federal guidelines are meant to outline best practices. This is pulled out of their butts, obviously.
Of course.
And so they lay out.
What could they possibly promulgate? I mean, seriously, in the range of things that they could write down on paper, what could they possibly put? Is it in there?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
It's not that. It's the fact is that they have a 15-point
right
safety assessment for manufacturers developing and deploying automated vehicles technologies that range from data recording to the sharing of information to vehicle cybersecurity protocols.
Data recording, the old bust yourself.
That's right, exactly. The black box will now be huge.
Yeah, and it'll stream directly to their authority right there. But
well, what's interesting to me is one of my, as a little tiny aside, if you get a chance, find this book. It's published in 1991 by P.J. O'Rourke. It was called The Parliament of Whores. He has a chapter in there on the NTSA, the National Transportation and Safety. And he said of all the places that the Parliament of Whores is Congress and all the government agencies. That's where they talk about it. But he singles out the NTSA as in fact the one place where the car buffs go. These people do know what they're talking about. He was astounded to find an agency of car aficionados, and they were like no-nonsense people and so forth. Well, that's all changed.
Yeah. I mean, to me, just on its face, I'm sitting here thinking to myself, if I'm a regulator of these new autonomous vehicles and I want to write down 15 points, it's going to say stuff like, you can't kill humans, no accidents. I mean, what? It can't possibly, must obey traffic laws. What can they possibly put in there that the software programmers haven't already thought of and tried to get around with their programming?
Sure.
There's not going to be any programming in the official 15 points. They're not going to say use semicolon dash at sign whatever. No. So it has to be aspirational at best. And it's simply going to be the common sense stuff that anybody would think of.
I've done it already. I mean, again,
already like 10 years ago.
Do you think these people, Amazon and Google and whoever else is in the business, do you think they want to get sued?
Exactly.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
I mean, there's just no way they are going to be so ultra careful. The feds can only monkey it up, and of course they're going to charge for it.
Right.
So anyway, the NTSA administration is also trying to become more developer friendly. Yeah, right. I'm from the government, and I'm here.
Oh
to help.
yeah, no, exactly. I saw a thing in there where it said that the car manufacturers welcomed the new regulations, and I'm thinking, yeah, like you welcome your robber into your house. You know, come on in, take what you want.
Yeah.
Listen, I won't complain. You want a sandwich while you look around?
Yeah.
I'll be happy to make you something. Don't shoot.
Carrying a gun.
Exactly.
That's right. So anyway, the rulemaking agency has agreed to expedite here's what they trade off. Instead of it taking a couple of years to look at regulations, which of course this, as we have seen,
shut it all down until we get these 15 points out there.
That's right. Well, what's interesting is, as we have seen, according to Moore's law, the technology is expanding so rapidly. I mean, if you wait a year for a regulation, we're gone. We're history. We're down there. Light speed. We're warp 28. 4 parsecs out.
Yeah.
So, that's one of the reasons they agreed to maybe expedite things for 30 to 60 days. Still, I think they're going to be behind the times because the geekies people that are doing this software, they really know what they're doing. And the software is like a million lines of code.
Yeah. We know how complicated this is. Engineer Eric was involved in an autonomous flying vehicle project back in 2002, and the code was amazingly complicated, and they at that point didn't have cars couldn't do anything. They couldn't go to the 7-Eleven. They couldn't navigate through a laid out course.
Nothing.
And
this autonomous vehicle was expected to know where it was and to rise, autonomously. You just let it alone and then do whatever you'd instruct to do. Well, it turned out back then they weren't quite ready, and they had to kind of go hold it a little bit or whatever. But bottom line was, you could see it coming. Now that was, what was it? You said 2002?
Yeah.
That's 14 years ago?
Yeah.
And now what we have?
Yeah.
I mean, excuse me, if you don't think there's an acceleration going on here, you've lost your mind. You're delusional if you think that this is not going to go at warp speed. So anyway, a former transportation engineer who teaches transportation and technology at the University of South Carolina found the agency's attitude encouraging and that it wants to be more faster and flexible. Well, that's BS. The way it was presented and talked about was with a lot of enthusiasm for the potential of these systems. A lot that will need to be backed up by content of the policy that comes out of the application. I don't know what that means. Some of it which will depend on anything what Congress chooses to do, and that's the scary part.
No, that's just like you said, Congress isn't even going to look at this. They're going to have a hearing or two, and that's about it.
They'll call in the experts.
That's right. They'll get some testimony as they sleep through it or eat their food or whatever. They're not going to do squat about this. That right there, what you just read, is an excuse. It's not us doing this, it's Congress doing this. The wise people in Congress shall now promulgate these rules, and we're just here to flesh it out a little bit and do the enforcement.
Yeah, we got your 13 points or whatever it is. Now we're going to flesh it out and make sure that they are, whatever they are. Ford Motor Company said the guidance will, and this is their pandering, of course, not to get shot, will help establish a basis for a national framework that enables the safe deployment of autonomous vehicles.
And another nice thing that the regulations will do for the autonomous vehicle people is they will keep out competition.
They will do that, and that is exactly right. If you're going to have Google, Ford, Amazon, Chevy, and all those other people in on making these regulations, do you think for 2 seconds that the Wright brothers in their little car place coming up with a new idea are going to get any hearings? No.
No, it's going to be these 10 companies, like you said, and that's it. And if you don't have $1 billion, then you can't be among.
Well, the good news, of course, is that it's global. And
right.
You can see the Chinese and the Indians and other people coming in on this market, the Japanese, these people are not going to be left behind. If you have a car industry in Japan, which they do, and if you suddenly start to see autonomous cars regulated or however they're regulated on U.S. roads, you're going to come up with some stuff that's going to be pretty dynamite.
Yeah,
and you're going to get it cleared in Japan,
right,
and China, and Saudi Arabia, and stuff like that.
Well, we've already seen the first deployment of these automated vehicles was in Singapore, not the United States.
Right.
Outside the United States, because I guarantee you, because of regulatory fear.
Exactly, and yeah, I mean, that's totally true. So anyway, the Dearborn-based automaker has last week announced intentions to begin shuttling employees around its Dearborn campus in self-driving cars in 2018, which of course is like 2 years away, and followed by its first self-driving public transportation in 2021. Well, it's almost 17, so that's 5 years. I mean, I can 5 years I can see.
I'm with you. I'm with your earlier prediction, which is way sooner than that.
Right.
As soon as they start to get a mound of evidence about the lives saved, then it's going to be
not only that,
a tidal wave.
The tidal wave will also, as it does very often, will come from the public. After they've been riding around in the Jimmy car or whatever you call it, the Jimmy cab.
Mm-hmm. Johnny Cab.
Johnny Cab, right? I mean, for a while they're going to say, and you're going to do what? Look, you don't understand. I need this. This is what gets me to work on time, and I don't have traffic jams anymore. No more traffic jams.
Right.
And I don't have to pay car insurance or anything. I mean, I do it in the ride and everything.
Right.
But basically, it's just a punch up, and the thing is there in 5 minutes, gets me there, avoids all the problems. Everybody else knows where we are here. We're collision avoidance everywhere.
Right, exactly.
And it's safest thing. And in fact, I can get something done.
Right.
I read the morning paper, for God's sakes, on the way to the office. I mean, and as soon as
text, message.
Yeah, now you're allowed to text in car.
Right.
That of course will be one of the funny things is once you're sitting in your autonomous vehicle going to town, and before they've actually eliminated all the drivers, you can see the cop pulling up to you and saying, "You're texting," and well, I'm not driving.
That's right.
I mean, what do you mean?
And I can see the guy still getting arrested and prosecuted for it. And I totally can. I totally can see that. And I can see them. What was the other thing I was thinking of? I noticed in the article they were talking about this board was still going to be investigating things like driver's licenses and such. Exactly. Yeah. This is a grasp at their dwindling power is what's going on there, because
I mean, wouldn't it be great? Think about it. If you're basically, why would you need a driver's license? You maybe have an ID card.
That's it.
Or something, but they always want that.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's just so cool. And of course, then the other thing that happens, which is kind of neat, which they're going to have to. This is one thing they're going to have to address, is who knows who is in which car. And so somebody gets out and does something nasty, and somehow the powers that aren't be or whatever think it's you.
Mm-hmm.
And you can see some problems occurring there. But again,
there'll be internal cameras as well.
Yeah, exactly. No, they'll have sensors. These cars will be like sensor central.
Right.
And they'll know everything. Yeah, they'll have all the facial recognition. I mean, you'll get in and say, "Hi, George."
Right.
I mean, that's all it is. It'll know who you are.
Right.
And are you going to the office today?
Right.
Yeah. No, I'd rather go shopping.
Right.
I mean, that's
the usual places?
The usual places, right.
Right.
No, I think we'll try something new.
That's
and
it.
I mean, because you think about something like Siri or Hound and how good they are now. They're pretty damn good.
I don't know. I don't have Siri, but...
Well, I have Hound.
Okay.
And that's a new one that I tried up, and it's pretty good. Siri has got me... When I'm in the car, Siri goes kind of kaflooey, but I don't know why. Anyway, we recognize... We recognize that this is not the last step that the department is going to take in autonomous vehicles, says the administrator. But we expect this framework is going to hold up over the long term and will evolve over the long term. But we really think this is a critical step toward imposing and working toward a level of safety that's needed in this arena. I mean, as if it's not already going to be there.
Well, like I said, it's a good thing that the benevolent government people are involved in reminding these multi-billion-dollar companies that safety is an issue, because otherwise I'm sure they would put you in death traps and just send you off cliffs.
Right. Yeah, I mean, you'd have to have that happen once before you'd be bankrupt.
Right, exactly.
I mean, these guys, they're going to make the safety regulations at the NTSA look like Wild West.
Right.
I mean, because that's how careful they're going to be.
Exactly.
So anyway, well, let me continue on.
Okay.
Just so we can. I've got I've got two more things on this.
Okay.
Because what I find interesting is we can't seem to have a video cast like this without addressing the self-driving stuff.
Right.
On all levels.
Mm-hmm.
Amsterdam is to pilot the world's first self-drive boats. Now, Amsterdam is, I don't know, 150 miles of canals or something like that. I mean, Amsterdam is, it's a low country,
right,
and it's canal city, and the barges move everything, around the whole city. Well, they're going to make them all autonomous. I mean, that's nice. In Amsterdam's iconic canals, maybe soon, the world's first driverless boats doing everything from moving people and goods to providing pop-up bridges and cleaning up thousands of dumped bicycles, the project scientist said. And it's the rowboat, they call it, or no double.
Right.
It's the rowboat, or whatever you want to call it, will launch next year.
Uh-huh.
So, I mean, next year is 4 months away.
Yeah.
So, and MIT's in with them on this thing. And imagine a fleet of autonomous boats for the transportation of goods and people, this is a guy from MIT who heads the program. The boats could stack together to form bridges across the canals in a system where you suddenly need a whole bunch of people to get across a bridge. You make a new bridge with the autonomous barges.
Yeah.
As they said, it offers enormous possibilities. They can be used to carry further research on underwater robots that can detect waterborne diseases at an early stage. Or you can use the robots to rid the canals of floating waste and find them more efficient to handle the 12,000 bicycles that end up in the canals every year. I mean, seriously. Anyway, they have 165 canals. Oh, it's only about 40 miles, 50 kilometers. So declared a UNESCO site in 2010, the 400-year-old canal ring around Amsterdam has always been a mainstay and so forth. So anyway, the point being, of course, it's a tourist attraction and everything. The point is that in a year, these guys are going to have autonomous barges. Mm-hmm. And they will be all outfitted to, part of they only move at 5 or 6 kilometers an hour anyway.
Yeah.
So it's not like they might, it's conceivable they might bump into each other, but if you had on a bumper car, where you have the little springy thing, that would be an easy one.
I guess. I mean, they're big, of course, but the friction of the water there is pretty low.
Right.
Say,
well, that's why they use that's why water transportation has always been a hallmark.
Right.
I mean, you can haul.
It's way more energy efficient.
Look, have you seen some of the barges on the Mississippi River? They're constrained only by the bridge heights. Mm-hmm. I mean, they're hauling hundreds of tons of stuff up and down the old Mississippi River. And of course, one of the first major transportations was the Erie Canal, and that river up there that connected the Great Lakes to the Atlantic or something like that. That was privately done, by the way, until it was overtaken by the railroad. So anyway, which is okay. This is from the Associated Press, and this is one of those things that we've always said on the Jimmy Doane Show that we're ahead of the curve. Mm-hmm. And Lyft. Now, within 5 years, Lyft says a majority of the ride-hailing company's Lyft rides will be self-driving cars, the company's co-founder said, and predicted on Sunday. John Zimmer, who said that personal car ownership will come to an end because autonomous rides will become a cheaper way than owning it. And we've said all this before. Yeah. And here's this guy, he must be reading or listening to our vidcast because we've said all this. Autonomous cars and ride-hailing will be essential to helping cities handle the influx of residents in the coming years as the world becomes more urbanized, he said. Of course, that's his projection. It may turn out that it may become more suburbanized.
Yeah.
You don't know. I mean, if you can hail a car and make adjustments, because one of the things that we have done in the past is when we go to the airport, you'll call ahead and you say, I need a cab here at 7 a.m. Well, you start to get around 7 a.m. and you get a little nervous because you might miss your plane. Well, with these autonomous cars, I have a feeling that you're going to know that it's going to be there on time because it's already projected where all the others are, and it knows it won't be in a jam suddenly, and it'll already.
Well, and it also doesn't have to stop for coffee or anything.
Right, exactly. Yeah, it doesn't have to stop for coffee. It'll know all the shortcuts and everything. So I mean, and it will have been communicating with all the other autonomous vehicles, say, I need to go through, so forth. So once that happens, there will be less need for parking, which is true too, because again, I'm thinking that these cars will be housed, the Hertz hub or the Amazon hub will be strategically placed around the city, and the roads will be wide open. I mean, you can have 2 or 3 more lanes, for instance, for these autonomous cars drive up and down and around.
2 or 3 more lanes.
But the bicycle lanes and the stuff like that.
You mean in the same space?
Yeah, in the same space.
Right. Yeah.
So you can have, and again, there's going to be some design. There'll be some design things that'll. That's the other thing we haven't seen is what are these autonomous cars going to look like? You can imagine well, you can't. As the kids come along and decide what kind of car would I like to see on the road, and you have as many as you do now, from the little smart car up to the hearse or the limo or whatever it is, all autonomous.
Mm-hmm.
So cool. I mean, it's going to be so cool. So anyway, Zimmer's 5-year prediction, it says here, may be overly ambitious because the technology for cars that carry people on their own likely won't be ready for at least a decade, said Timothy Carone, a Notre Dame professor and author of Future, thing, and what's professor. He's an egghead, pointy head, whatever it is. He don't know nothing. I mean, seriously, he's a professor in Notre Dame, probably with tenure, and he's written something or another, and he says a decade. BS, I'm telling you, Lyft is right. I don't think it's going to be 5 years.
Yeah, I agree with you.
So, there is...
as soon as people start replacing their cars, when you go to buy a car...
Right.
And one of the options is, and this one has self-driving features, people are going to start taking that option.
Well, I can tell you right now, I saw an ad, one of the funniest ads I've ever seen for a Subaru on television. It had these horses, and here's this guy with a trailer, and he's trying to back into a spot. He has a horse trailer or whatever, it's on the back of his car, and he keeps crunching it because the trailer's moving around. I mean, and I've done this before. You try and back up with a trailer because it's counterintuitive.
Yeah.
When you turn one way and the trailer goes and blah blah, and then you could get it jacked and stuff like that. So, and the horses, of course, they have them all laughing their heads off. This thing, it's just, I mean, it's the overtrack is hysterical. So that guy leaves, and the guy with the Subaru comes in there and parks it in one shot, and it says, with trailer assist.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, trailer assist. We already have parallel parking assist.
Right.
That you just pull up next to the thing and say park.
Right.
And it does that already. I mean, think about it. This is where this stuff is. Trailer assist. I mean, that's complicated. I got news for you.
Yeah.
That's complicated.
But not for a supercomputer.
No. Well, you think about someone like this. Think about the training you have to go through to be a 18-wheeler truck driver with your.
Mm-hmm.
And those guys know what they're doing as far as parking. But can you imagine with trailer assist and an autonomous driver? I mean, they're going to get it right every time. Again, the possibilities are virtually endless. It's going to eliminate, obviously, the long haul truck driver after a while, but this is coming on so fast. There's going to be a real shakeup. Anyway, that's again our update on autonomous vehicles.
I got my mojo working, babe, and I'm gonna try it on you.
And we're back.
And we're back. Jimmy Doane Show on September 20th, 2016. Councilor Curtis. Hello.
Hi.
Jimmy Doane here on some of the news of the day, which is kind of interesting, with sometimes a little humorous touch. This one, I thought, caught my eye. NASCAR is being sued for $500 million.
What?
On the claims that the racing league has discriminated against teams and drivers on racial grounds.
No way.
According to the plaintiffs in the suit. $500 million. On September 16th...
They're aiming low, huh?
Yeah. On September 16th, it's 4 days ago, Terrence Cox and his company, Diversity Motorsports Racing.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that tells you right off the bat where you
Right.
filed a suit against NASCAR and its parent company, International Speedway Corporation, and all 18 NASCAR teams. The lawsuit claims NASCAR refused to let Diversity Motorsprings bring a team into the series and join the Drive for Diversity program, which is designed to encourage women and minority involvement.
Mm-hmm. What about blind people?
Again, there's going to be, you have about 9 protected classes now, so, if you're a dwarf, for instance, you might want to get in on the action.
Mm-hmm.
And what I love about this is it says, adding fuel to the fire, the suit also points out that only one of the 18 teams includes black people among their owners.
One of 18.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's about 6%. So that's only half of their the population.
Well, again, it's one of these things. What about hockey?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, hockey.
Yeah.
I
Swimming?
I have just none, zero. That is totally white.
Right.
I mean, hockey. I mean, so what are you going to do? It says motorsports remain the most racially segregated sport in the United States. No, in fact, 6% of the motorsports are black and 0 in hockey and swimming. It's just, what are you talking about? This is what they...
Bicycling, I watched the Tour de France.
Yeah.
Now there's one black guy or two in the tour.
Really?
Out of 130 riders.
And where are they from, I wonder? I wonder if they're from the U.S.
Shoot, I know. No, the guy, he rides for Europe Car. I don't think he's an American.
Jamaican. Brit.
Yeah, I think he's a Brit.
Brit would be about right.
Yeah.
I can see that. Anyway, the plaintiffs are seeking $75 million in compensatory damages and $425 million in punitive damages.
Sure.
A lawyer for the plaintiffs said the money would go to organizations seeking to increase minority involvement in motorsport.
A lawyer said the money would go to me.
He gets a third. And
he gets $125 million for bringing this case.
Well, of course, this can't go anywhere. I say that.
Yeah,
of course, in this day and age,
know.
you don't know. What's interesting, NASCAR, not surprisingly, claiming the lawsuit is ridiculous. And of course, it says
it names all 18 other teams. Like, what do they have to do with it? I wonder.
They don't have a black driver or owner or something. I don't know.
Or pit crew member.
Pit crew member, right. I mean, I don't know. So anyway, they, of course, needless to say, they said there's no merit. And TMZ added that NASCAR reportedly, and I thought this was kind of interesting, plans to countersue for damnation, for defamation.
Right.
So again, once you think about it made the news, and of course this is, as far as I'm concerned, is a wave off. But if this goes anyplace, I mean, again, we've already realized that this country has gotten too pussyfied. I mean, everybody it seems like has a little grief, and they run to the courts because sometimes it works, and if they're playing the
and who knows if it's publicity stunt or whatever. I mean, if there's one group that's in the 18 already, then they can't be too discriminatory, right?
Not compared to the ones we just mentioned.
You're right. Yeah.
I mean, and that was another thing. I mean, how many jockeys?
Horse jockeys?
Horse jockeys, yeah. I don't remember any black ones on there. It could be, though. I just haven't looked, but I don't remember seeing any.
Right.
But I mean, stuff like that. There's a whole raft of things like that you can...
Well, how much money do they have?
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we're going to sue them. So anyway, that's that. That's it.
Okay.
And we're back. This is Jimmy Doane Show. Once again, this is a final item, a little kind of a light note here. Councillor Curtis, you may be able to tell us some about this, although it's in France.
Oh.
That's Francais.
Oh, Francais.
And Jimmy Doane here, and it's the 20th of September, 2016. This is a France bans the use of plastic crockery and cutlery to aid the battle against climate change.
Well, thank God somebody's doing something about it at this point.
Yeah, exactly. When you think about the plastic spoons...
In another 100 years, we could be in trouble.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, that's right. But anyway, plastic is to be banned in France unless it's made from biologically sourced materials. Plastic made from biologically, I guess oil's not part of the biology. Maybe it's made out of leaves or something, or...
I don't know.
I don't know. Maybe you
ground up kittens or something.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Well, of course, the question is, how do you enforce this? I mean,
the
German tourist comes over with his lunch bag or whatever it is, and what do you do?
Throw him in jail.
I guess. I mean, you have any plastic utensils in this car?
That's right. You have any guns, drugs, or plastic utensils, sir?
Exactly. The law, well, it's interesting. They put it off for 4 years. The law comes into force. I mean, they already passed the law. comes into force in 2020, and it's part of a French environmental initiative called the Energy Transition for Green Growth. Okay, part of a package aimed at tackling climate change. Of course, I don't know what you do with tourists or anybody just traveling through.
Or picnics.
Picnics, right? I mean, now you have to take. I guess you take your silverware out there with your glass cups,
right?
And of course, if they break, you leave the glass there for somebody to step on. I don't know, or your crockery. You've got ceramic plates. I mean, I guess you could use plastic. I mean, I guess you could use paper. Paper probably would work.
What I love about this is, they banned paper first.
Right.
I mean, when they came out with plastic bags,
right.
Then there was this big thing: don't use the paper, you're killing the trees. And I remember Publix went from paper bags, which you always used to have, was just paper bags,
right? And
then none of those anymore, and then it was just plastic bags.
Well, they do ask you still.
Well, yeah, in some places
they do,
but in other places, I've got I didn't pull it up here. I had a GIF of the states that have banned plastic bags now.
Oh yeah,
yeah, and there's a bunch of them.
I do know they did it in Ireland. Of the third. Mm-hmm. I knew they had done it in Ireland because it really was getting to be. Apparently, they were per capita use of plastic bags was off the scale, and they were all over the countryside. So, what gets me though when you talk about the plastic bags, when I was traveling around Europe on several times I did it, the thing you always carried with you was a net bag. If you've ever seen a net bag, it's one of the most fabulous inventions on the planet. It is a bag literally that is the size of your fist.
Okay.
But it unfolds to hold 50, 60 pounds of groceries. It's huge because it's net. Mm-hmm. And it's just, it is the perfect solution to me, to when I think, and I know the last time I went over there, I had trouble finding the kind of net bag I wanted. And in fact, what I did is just for laughs, I got on eBay or on something. I was going to go to China. It turns out you can order up these net bags made in China for 2-3 cents a piece. And 1,000 of them.
Oh right, yeah.
Yeah, and then go sell them to the stores for at the store on the thing for $1 or $2 or something like that. Because once you've used a net bag, because it's so unbelievably convenient. When they're folded up, they're invisible, and yet you can use, and they'll carry anything. I mean, even something. See, one of the problems you've got with plastic bags and with paper bags is if there's a Sharpie point on it, it'll puncture it.
Right.
Not a net bag; it just sits through. I mean, so the point is, it's got so many, and people just. So anyway, they've decided. So how do you enforce it? Leonardo DiCaprio, a great environmentalist, warns about climate change in an emotional Oscar speech. Mr. Bates said the ban could make the litter problem worse because consumers would believe that packaging left on the countryside would be biodegradable. I can see that. Mm-hmm. Why bother? I mean, it's kind of messy now, so I just leave it here. It'll be gone in 20 minutes or 20 years,
right? And
so forth and so on. Yeah, no, that's it's part of a growing trend to outlaw the use of plastic in several parts of the world.
I wonder what the real what the real target is there. I wonder what agency or industry or company they're going after. Yeah, exactly.
What plastic company didn't pay the price?
That's it. Because Solo or somebody pissed them off or something. Because well, who knows?
Well, a lot of this. Let me tell you, a lot of this also has to do with, and we see this all the time, what we call mission creep. Mm-hmm. And they've been sitting around in the office for a while. Right. They passed a bunch of stuff, and they said, God, what are we going to do today?
The globe is still warming.
Yeah, and so what can we target? Let's see. We can't eliminate all the dogs. So people would complain about that.
Right.
But dog.
No farting.
Huh? Yeah. We pass a law against farting. No, let me just say that. Plastic. There you go. That's the thing. The light bulb goes off, and we're going to eliminate. So something you see that all the time. And Karnataka in India has banned the use of plastic across the entire state. San Francisco banned plastic shopping bags in 2007 and plastic water bottles on public properties in 2014.
Oh God, yeah. Then they've also done like these little plastic water bottles that we get here. If you notice now, they're extremely thin.
Right.
They used to be, I don't know, several times thicker than this, and now they're horribly flexible to the extent that if you open the top up and you try to pick one up, the weight of just the thing itself will cause you to squeeze it and the water come out.
No, that's you.
Well,
you have strong hands.
I'm telling you, the larger bottles.
Oh, the larger bottles.
Yeah, not this little one, but the 1 liter bottles and stuff. You can't open them without it spilling because of the thinness of the plastic. And I used to reuse the bottles all the time.
I do.
But now they
I only
degrade.
Fill 3/4 of the way.
This is interesting. Now they degrade so fast because they're so thin that I have to buy more of them. Whereas I would have been content to just have one thicker plastic bottle, and it must be a regulation because I've noticed that every company has gone to the super thin bottles.
Yeah, I wouldn't doubt that's a regulation, but a company would be fool not to do it anyway. Why? Because it reduces their costs. If they use 1/3 of the plastic, that reduces their costs.
I would think so, except for the fact that I personally would switch to that brand and always stick with that brand if there were one brand that made thicker plastic bottles. I wouldn't buy as many because I would reuse the bottles, but I would always buy that brand.
Do they have glass bottles anymore?
Yeah, they do. They do.
Because they're heavy.
Well, yeah, that's the problem. Is I use
break.
Exactly. You want it. What you want is a nice thick plastic bottle, but not a water bottle. Not one of the ones that was designed with the big top and everything. You just want one of these that's good quality, and you can't get them anymore. So it sucks.
Well, I refill. It's funny you should mention that because I refill mine.
Yeah. Well,
but I only refill them up to the 3/4 because I keep a quart bottle next to my bed at night. I get thirsty during the night. And so right there, and you're right. I mean, it is.
You go to grab that thing, man, and
what I do is, it's funny you should mention that. In order to keep it cold, I wrap it with a towel.
Okay.
And so I'm, picking it up, and there's a lot of friction there.
Uh-huh.
So I don't have to squeeze it that much because the towel is frictiony. So I can basically just grab it a little bit, and of course if I spill it on my bed, like who cares?
Well, if you're trying to sleep at night and you spill it all over the place there, to me, and even when you drink out of it, now it's so bad that when you drink out of it, it collapses as the water comes out. Unless you let air in, unless you adapt your drinking method. Well, I'm just saying, you pick it up and you start drinking out of it, and the thing collapses in your hand. It can literally fall out of your hand.
Look. This is a good thing, and this is why it's a good thing.
What?
Because all the time that you have to see who can finish the bottle the fastest, if it's a firm bottle, you're going to have to take a breath in order to let the air back in there.
Right.
But this way you don't. It just collapses, and so you can get it out in 2 seconds instead of 3.
Woohoo!
Winner. So anyway, this is the other thing I was curious. This is the final thing. Final sentence in the article. In Britain, customers must pay 5 pence for each plastic bag, and I'm wondering, to whom?
Right. Well, this is probably the old you had to pay the extra 5 cents for.
But you got it back.
Yeah.
You're not going to get it back on a plastic bag, I don't think.
Well, unless they do return for deposit or something.
On a plastic bag?
Well, if you paid the deposit to take it out. But I'm with you. It probably just goes into
those are like, spider web thin, for God's sakes. You're not bringing that back. I mean, you throw them in the recycle bin.
Yeah, or you use them for trash bags or something.
Right, that's what I do. Yeah. Well, here in the States they haven't gotten along that far, but I just wondered. I wonder if by any wild chance that 5 pence goes to the government.
I don't know.
I mean, does it go to the bag manufacturer? No, that would be an incentive, certainly an incentive for them to crank out as many plastic bags as they could. And of course, by that measure, there would be a battle to see, the next guy would charge 4 pence for his plastic bag or something like that. But obviously, it's a government regulation. No, I'm sure it's a government regulation.
Yeah.
So it's, one of those things, I guess. They're all trying to preserve the environment.
Are we going to mention? I know where you're done. You're out of paperwork there. I see. Are we going to mention the Fed or the Bank of Japan Fed? Or are we going to wait till tomorrow for those things?
we're out of time. The Fed, yes, I have a picture of Janet Yellen, and the I think they meet tomorrow.
Yeah.
So it'd probably be better to wait.
Okay.
That's number one, because once again, it's the shuckle and jive, or whatever shuffle and jive, the dancing around kind of business, mixing up the words a little bit to come out with the same thing. And as we will discuss a little bit more tomorrow, what is stunning to me is that there are still some high-powered brokers, economists, and everything say, well, this is like one day from just like tomorrow, okay, or whenever the meeting is. And they're thinking, well, maybe they're not going to do it tomorrow, but for sure December. Yeah. For sure December. And I'm thinking, you lunatics, you've been saying this every single month, and you don't get it.
Well, I'll send you the thing on Bank of Japan coming up.
Okay, yeah, I haven't seen that one. That was fun.
Yeah.
So share this if you get a chance, and I haven't done it yet, but I'm going to try and get it on iTunes. I'm working on that.
Get this book, Save Your Life.
Yes.
Save a life. Do something. All right. Thanks so much, y'all, for tuning in.
I got my mojo.